I guess so. It's 12:30, so hi, everyone. I'm Liz Collins. Welcome to Textiles TV, something that New York Textile Month has created as part of the virtual programming. I'm an artist and designer specializing in textiles and a big fan of New York Textile Month, which you can get more information about at textilemonth.nyc, I think. Is that right? Textilemonth.nyc. Correct. That's right. So I have a series going. This is the second talk of 3 that I've created in order to introduce the textile community here in New York and beyond to some of my favorite industry collaborators. As an artist, I do a lot of different things with textiles, and one of the primary things that I love to do is work with textile mills and textile companies to do projects with them, for them, and also work with them to make fabrics for my own artwork. And so it's been a really rich experience to work with these companies and people. And so I've brought into this programming a few of those people. Today we have Greg Voorhis from Sunbrella / Glen Raven. I'll let Greg tell you a little bit more about the difference between those names. So yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. I can't tell who's here, but anyway, I'm sure there are people on the call, and it's great that you all are here. So what we'll do is spend some time with Greg in the corporate headquarters where he is right now in North Carolina, get a little tour, and then we'll talk some about the projects that we've done together, and then have a discussion, if possible, about some kind of general things about the world of textiles and where we are today. And hopefully there will be time for your questions. If you all have questions as we're going through the presentation and the conversation, feel free to drop them in the chat as you think of them. And then when we have time at the end, we'll get to those questions. Thank you. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, Liz, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. This sounds like it's going to be pretty fun. So, and like you said, I am in corporate headquarters. So where a lot of people are working from home, we still have people around. So if there's some background noise or we come across some people, don't be alarmed.
All right. Actually, thanks for saying that. I have background noise too, maybe. There's construction outside my window, so hopefully it won't be too annoying.
Yeah, I just heard a truck backing up. But that's
all right.
The New York music, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell people how we met real quick, just
Great.
So since that's a fun way to start these conversations. Like, how are you guys working together? I used to teach at Rhode Island School of Design. I was a professor there in the textile department for 10 years. And during my time there, I met Sherry Dongia, who is a wonderful designer, stylist, art director person who lives in New York. And she was doing some work with our grad students at RISD. And after I left RISD, we ran into each other a few times, and she told me that she really liked my work, and we talked about getting together. And she had started working with Sunbrella as a consultant and brand ambassador. I hope that I'm using the right words. And so she introduced me to Greg and Greg's colleague, Alan, because she wanted us to meet to see if we could maybe do something together. So Greg and Alan came to my studio in Brooklyn, and 2 years later, we started doing things.
Yep. Yeah, so that was great. That was a good meeting. You know, Sherry's been a great ambassador for the brand, and then, you know, what we're going to get into as we have this talk is talking about more collaborations, and you'll understand for all of us how important collaborations are. It's great for Glen Raven. I think that, and Sunbrella, as I think it's one of the common bonds I think we have with Liz as well, with you. So you want me to get into a little bit more about the Glen Raven and introduction?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with what's the difference between Glen Raven and Sunbrella?
Well, Glen Raven is the company. It's the parent company, and Sunbrella is a brand. So Glen Raven has been around since 1880. So, you know, it's a 140-year-old company. And then Sunbrella as the brand started in 1961. So it came some years later. But even though the Sunbrella didn't come into play until 61, Glen Raven was also very versed in branding. So in 1901, about the time the building was completed that I'm sitting in right now, they branded their first awnings called zebra stripes. And if you Google online, zebra stripes, Glen Raven, you know, there's a picture of a zebra standing in a jungle. So it's pretty interesting. And of course, back then it wasn't Sunbrella. It was just cotton, a totally different type of product. But throughout the years, Glen Raven has innovated and done a lot of different types of different products. Shade has been something that's been important to them since the very beginning. And all the different products that we work on. So we're, and with the Sunbrella brand, it's a very diverse product offering. We are into the awning markets, which we first went into, which we like to call shade market, and coming up with shade solutions. So it's not just about an awning, but different types of shades you can put up to protect yourself from the sun. We're in automotive, so a lot of the convertible car tops you see out there driving around, it's not branded, but it is a Sunbrella product for the most part, not every single one of them. And then what the other two big ones that we're into is indoor and outdoor upholstery. So for years, you know, we're known for the outdoors, and, you know, we've transformed yarns and really worked on finishes. So about 20 years ago, we stepped into more of a decorative side of the field. And that's something that even Sherry was part of. Sherry Dongia, when she was still at Dongia, developed a Sunbrella program, I think 17 years ago. It's been some time to really get into the decorative part of the market and really innovating yarns and finishes and really changing the face of what just people perceived as an awning stripe or a stiff fabric. And now it becomes these luxurious, very pile, very soft, very supple types of fabric. And then there's even some like out of the box thinking that we've been doing with you, which we can see right behind you. Oh, you're on mute.
I mute because of the construction noise you might hear. Yes. How do you like my backdrop?
It's fabulous.
Yeah, these are three different applications of salvage waste, and we'll talk about that in a bit, right?
Yeah. So, you know, talking a little bit about Glen Raven and going a little further, we thought we would give you a little bit of a tour. It'll be quick. If there's any feedback for the camera, Anna is going to be the camera person for me. So I'm going to pick this up and then flip it around. There's Anna. Well, you can't really see her because of the sun. I'm going to hand that to her. All right. So, and we're going to walk around a little bit. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. So where we're standing right here is the first mill that Glen Raven built. So it started in 1880, but then Alan Gantt's grandfather built this facility that finished in about 1901. So we're standing in that space. So a few years back, Glen Raven said we need to switch up the space for Sunbrella HQ because we were in a much smaller space. We need to expand. Plus, we had this building that we wanted to do something with. So we decided to work with Sal McCowan, the architect firm, and redo this space. So where I'm standing right now, Anna, come around here a little bit, is what we have the cafe right now, but it was the original office of Alleghany's grandfather. So you can see back here, we now have a cafe. And you can see the vault where they used to have payroll every week and paid out. And you know, if I'm going to pan this way a little bit, sort of skipping over to this part of the room, there's some things you'll see as a theme as we go through the building is like, you know, friends, partners, artists, collaborators. We like to utilize things that we have to, you know, bring back into the space. So here we have a light fixture that was designed by Richard Frenier, where we're using just some cones of yarns and put some LED lights in them. So it's just a really fun project to do with him. So if we come around this way, this out here was sort of a little alcove from the building. So back in here, and when we come out a little bit further, this wasn't part of the building. So you can see this is all new construction that we had to bring in to sort of enhance that space. So, Anna, if you can just show the space around a little bit. All right. And then you can see here the grand staircase. And this is a fabulous place to get people together, to be able to make presentations, because the light here in the afternoon is just absolutely amazing. And so we have cushions out here, and it's someplace that we also can host people from within the community, and they can have spaces. And if we come up to the top, and we keep coming up here, this is where all the design space is, and sales and marketing. But a really, really nice feature that we have is the curtains that we have to sort of divide this newer space with the older space. So if we are hosting, and there's people still working, we can close that up and sort of block some of the sound, but it also softens the space. It's, and you can close and open them. And Liz, you might want to talk about these a little bit too, but this is a project we worked on with Liz, and she did a fabulous job really feeling the essence of the rest of the building and then building on top of that. And if you come in and give some detailed shots for this, and you can see that there's all kinds of different fabrics. So they're all grays and beiges and neutrals that have some really nice texture, and they're really soft and nice. So close it all the way up. So it's great when we have visitors coming here too. They're always like, you know, playing with them and moving them around, asking a lot of questions. So, Liz, you have any input on what you did here?
Well, sure. This was the first project that we did together, and this was something that Sherry thought that I would do a good job with, and I think it was also somewhat a collaboration with Sherry herself as far as the design. And it was a great project to work on because of the fabrics that you all have. And also I did a bunch of custom trims from Ardwin, which is a trim and cord company in New Jersey that Sunbrella works with. And so it was really fun. Like, this is actually a distressed trim. It was a cord that was stitched on, like a twisted cord, and then we cut it open and then washed it, washed the full curtain. After everything was assembled, we washed the curtains, and so the trim got kind of distressed, and so it's like a kind of antique-y feel, rustic antique, which goes really well in the space. And when I do these projects, I feel like there's so much collaboration. There was collaboration with the Sow and McCown, the architects in Brooklyn, who did the whole space, and then the collaboration with the architects on site who were North Carolina based. And what was I going to say? One more thing. Oh, I can't remember right now, so it doesn't matter. Oh, I know that. Let me just finish something that sorry, Greg. I worked with Powerhouse Arts, which is a new fabrication center in Brooklyn for textiles, glass, metal, ceramics, and wood, I think, print, not glass. Anyway, so they helped with the fabrication and they stitched together all these huge panels, which was very helpful. And yeah, it's a great piece. Thanks.
Excellent.
That's all I have to say.
That's all I got to say about that, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
Now you can see in the background when we go on the tour, we also have one of the prototype panels that we did for a Milan show, which we're going to show some imagery in just a little bit there too. So now we're going to walk into a more quiet or private space that is very, people use for inspiration, or they'll come back here and work because we got a big open space here because collaboration is very important. From all of our groups, from sales, design, marketing, manufacturing, R&D, we're all coming together out here to work. But we have a little resource center back here where we have like books and different types of ideas and magazines that people might come back and look or just do some work. And so we have a bunch of books. And Liz, you can see your book up there. It's an inspiration on the shelf. We got a Sheila Hicks book. Sherry's book is up there. And then also we like to put like fun little things around. So Liz, you can see like you have in your background some of the ideas that we're working on for this year that COVID sort of stopped for these pillow ideas that we have over here on the sofa. And can you show those? Or you got them?
Yeah, look at that.
So
I'm everywhere.
That's right.
It's a company takeover.
That's right. So now something that we do a lot of is, we're always making collections. We're doing a lot of specials. So we needed a great space to be able to receive rolls and then be able to process them and then get them out to the designer. So we're going to walk through here very quickly. But this is where all the top secret projects are and what's going on. So this is a bit of a central hub. And Anna, if you could just like pan around real quick, when we process them and work on them, they go on these racks, and then we can roll them and bring them out to the studio. So we'll quickly go out to the other side and go out the other double doors. And then we're in the design studio. And then we're sort of out in the open again. So we were over here just a minute ago. Now we're out here in the open. And so again, about the collaboration with other people and collaboration in here, that's how we want to put this space together. So over there we have sales and some of the R&D group. We have some of the leadership group in the back and HR. Marketing has got a piece back there, and then this is the design area that's all through here, and it's just very open, very collaborative. Something we had in the middle too. So these holes right here in the floor, we had to cut them so we could bring more light into the building and bring some light downstairs, and then we have a green space down here. Annie, you can show it down there. And then we have another one in the back, which we won't go back there. But it's not up yet, but we do have a Sheila Hicks piece that we're going to put back there too. So that mix with the industry and artistry, again, is for collaboration, inspiration. Is very important here. And then quickly into the design area where we're working on all of our collections day to day. And you can see all the walls that are up. They can all move. The tables, they can move, and you can roll them around. We have pinnable space, like all on our workspaces and up here. And then these are also two-sided. And you can see all the new. This is a new collection. So, and these are mixes of new collections that are about to come out and things that'll come out in like 6 months to a year. So we can walk down through here and sort of quickly see like what's going on. And this is just a small representation of some of the things that we're doing. And then the last thing before we'll move on, because we can be here for hours touring this whole building. We have this room back here called the collab. So it's a special projects room where we have archives. We have a lot of developments that are already done that we can just bring out and put into a collection we're working on at the time. We have a lot of yarns we're working on, so new technologies, different types of yarns, and we will store all of that back in here. So that's the nickel tour that I'm going to do today, and now I'm going to move to my office, and Liz, we can continue our conversation. So I'm going to take that from you, Anna.
Thank you for the tour. Fabulous.
Yeah. Thanks, Anna.
Amy. Or Anna. Who was it?
Anna.
Anna, thank you.
I think there was an Amy back there too.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did you tell this about the building, that it was the original mill?
Yeah, well, it is the original mill, excuse me for a second, that was built by Glen Raven. So Alan Gant, who's our chairman of the board, his grandfather purchased the mill in 1880 and then, had to ride a horse, 14 miles out into the country every week. He'd go out there Monday, come back on Friday. Well, finally, after 20 years, he's like, I'm tired of doing this. I'm going to build a plant up the road from my house. And so that's where this facility came from. So it was the first mill built by the family, Glen Raven.
And so when it was time to, redo and expand, you all decided to work with that existing building and renovate it instead of building something new, right?
Yeah. So, and it's not only, we could have built something different, but, it's not only just a heritage and, something that's meaningful for the family, but it's just a great space and why waste it? So it's also part of the sustainable story that Glen Raven likes to tell. Glen Raven, the mills, like in Anderson, South Carolina, they've been landfill free for 15 years. So, it's been some time since we've started those initiatives, and now we're landfill free across the planet. So, that also being the story as far as heritage, this building is something that really meant something to Alan Gant, who's, like I said, is chairman of the board. Alan, who came and met you for the first time, that's his father. And, it's a place when he was a child, started working, in the summers when he was 14, 15 years old and, or even younger, coming in here with his father, so it's really nice for him to come back into this space again after not being utilized by the company for some years.
It's amazing history. And you all have a book that you created that has the whole Glen Raven history,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a very limited release. Mostly family members have it. It's called The Raven.
Yeah, I really should have taken that edition when I was staying at your guest house.
Yeah, I get the picture. I'll write it down again.
It's for the audience, just FYI, it's a beautiful 2-volume book of the entire history of this company. And I'm just such a factory nerd. Like, I love industrial history. That's the only way I can really absorb history, if it's related to something I'm really interested in. And so I feel like I've learned more about the history of this country through paying attention to the Industrial Revolution and textile manufacturing history than I ever learned when I was doing history in high school.
Sure. And it's fun learning it that way.
Indeed. So, do you want to show us some pictures? Is that what we're doing here in your office?
Is that the next step? Yeah. So it goes back to, our meeting with Alan in your studio a few years ago. And, for a little while, we'd pop in, we'd go to the Boy Awards, we'd go have dinner, and
Dating.
Dating, yeah. And then we got to the the Milan Fair and started talking about what can we do here, and part of it had to do with reusing materials and some sustainability, but it wasn't the biggest thing. And so we came to you and said, what would you do? So Liz and I got on a plane in January before April to go. It was January, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
To go look at this space, and we're able to pull this this project off in pretty short order. So I'm going to go through a few of the photos. Hopefully, I pop up in the right place here. Got to go to the photos. Yep, here we go. So I have the the whole folder here, and of course I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to sort of pick a few. So where this is in Milan, Italy, at the Milan Furniture Fair, and the part of the Flores Salone, which is in the city, and this is at Rossano Orlandi. So this is the space we're looking to take over. So we have the two doors, and then the window that's open up top, that's also going to be a room up there that we'll be in. And then you can see some of these spaces, and you can see all the little places of this is what it looks like when we're going to inspect it and see what this is going to be like. This is upstairs. Here just the raw space there that we're like asking Liz is like, what are your ideas that you can come up with here? Here's the courtyard. So we fly back to the United States, and Liz goes back to her studio. We start making some fabrics, and this is where we started. And so Liz was coming up with different types of concepts, cutting the fabric. So here's some more of the shots. And then she started making these little models, which I think is just absolutely amazing. And I love these things because just use the paper and building these 3D models of, what you had on your wall, and you start cutting fabric into these little models it was just amazing to see that process and how that comes along. So even making a little rug, and you got all the ottomans with the fabric. Then, another one. So now we're talking, you can see that we were looking at all stripes and the fabrics and how Liz wanted to start placing those in all the rooms. And then you can see right behind me where there is these, what she was calling the fur walls. You started making those. That she was using boxes of selvage like this. It starts building those out and testing them.
So let me say just a couple things.
Please.
I just want to add about the dealing with this space that you all saw, some images of the raw space. It was a hard space to conceptualize around because it was dark, and I don't know, sometimes a space, I think I've become a specialist in tackling difficult spaces for installations. Anyway, it took a lot of thought, and I had to kind of just start after a certain amount of time, because time was of the essence, just kind of start working intuitively about things I wanted to see. Like there was this one dark room, and I knew that it was like a cave. It felt like a cave. So I really just started dealing with the light in the spaces and responding to the light and kind of the placement of the windows and the doors, and thinking about things that materially and kind of design wise and artistically, I wanted to like to activate these spaces, and this one room with all of the diagonals. And this was a jacquard fabric that I designed and produced with Sunbrella like very quickly. We got it into production. Like that was the first thing that we did, because, you know, the lead time to develop fabrics can be long. So there was no time to waste. And so once you start doing something like that, it starts to dictate the other things. I also want to mention we have at that point brought on a furniture and lighting partner, the French company Ligne Roset, Ligneroset. So these furniture objects are things that are coming from Ligne Roset that we're upholstering with the Sunbrella fabrics that I've designed or that we've pulled from the Sunbrella collections. All right, that's it.
Yeah, and that was great. You know, collaborating with Ligne Roset really helped make this happen. They were a great partner. And like you said, I mean, you worked on these designs, came up with these concepts, sent drawings down, and you worked with one of our design directors, Tracy Green, who got these done really quick. And, you know, you see the drawings, and then here's some more of the selvage walls, but I'm going to come down here a little further, and we started getting these rolls in, and that one's hard to see. But this is what we did. No, so the space that we just took the tour in, we started rolling out, you know, these are, you know, 50 feet long, 60 feet long, to look and start planning with Liz of where she needed to put these on the panels. So we got so just starts really coming together. And Liz, like you were saying earlier, I mean, that space when we went to go see it at Rosanna Orlandi, it was dark. I don't even think there was a light switch in the room, let's say light. So, you know, you can see all the little pieces or little photos of all these things, and, you know, started planning those out. And then we come down.
You can see the light structure starting to come in.
Yeah. Here's the lighting pieces that you're putting together. So again, like out in the space here, like on the curtains, this is using trim from Ardwin, and also I think you were deconstructing some fabrics to put the yarns in there as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and then there's another light fixture that's somewhere like at the last row or the top row. You see this other one that has these triangles. There was a great light that Ligne Roset had that I just got obsessed with because it has like a perforated steel shade. And so my assistants and I looped many strands of PVC yarn from Sunbrella into this to make like this kind of Memphis-y tree lamp.
Oh yeah, it was so cool.
And that one, I didn't know where it was going to go. I just knew I had to make it and that I would figure it out. You know, there were some pieces that I created knowing that they were going to go somewhere in the space, but not sure where. And then other things that were very site specific. Yeah, clowning around during install. That's me.
That's my favorite lamp shot. And then here's just some. I'll speed up a little bit, but you know, here's some of the images as we start to install, and when it just really starts coming together. Here's a picture of the rug. So, you know, as part of all of this, you know, what we're talking about, this whole artistry of this project, you know, the underlying theme of this was really about the sustainability. So when you see downstairs where, you know, you have all of the zigzags and what we were calling the mountain room with the big panels, well, represents the upholstery fabric that, you know, that we weave every day. And then, you know, when we weave that, we get selvage waste. So here's a picture of the selvage waste that Liz was using to create these walls. And then, you know, once you go back upstairs, so here's Liz making the lamps, but also the ottomans are made out of a 50% recycled fabric called Renaissance. So, and also the rugs up there, the rugs going up the stairs and in the space are all 50% recycled. So it was also telling how Glen Raven works and their sustainability story along with, or in tandem with, Liz's story. So you start seeing it coming together a little more. Liz lounging around.
Yeah.
So, and that comes to the end of, and here's close to the end. And then there's the finishing shot, of the mountain room.
And I like to have, put videos in my installations. And so in this case, I had my collaborator, Lauren Siegel, make these videos that were like kind of mesmerizing manufacturing videos, where Lauren we went to the manufacturing sites of Sunbrella and Ardwin and filmed some machines, because that's always been something I love to see, is these machines close up. And so it's like a kind of gears and mechanisms type of mesmerizing abstract footage that kind of brings light and movement and sound to the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're back on the regular Zoom. Let's see.
Now I'm back.
Yeah. No open questions. Okay, good.
Yeah. And then, to progress beyond that, just to let everybody know, and you can see a little bit of it behind Liz, but we did take that project and we're going to extend it into 2020. But unfortunately, we have some circumstances that kept us from going to Milan again. But it was going to bring that sustainability story up to another level of how we're making product and delivering things. So hopefully we'll be able to tell that story in person next year. Yeah.
So these things behind me, I mean, this is the wall covering. I called it Salvage Fur Panels. And by the way, the base is corrugated cardboard. So it's a nice artisanal kind of product. And then this is a knit construction. You'll hear more about that in the future. This is throw. And then embellished fabric. Greg was mentioning the Renaissance fabric. This base fabric is made of recycled yarns mixed with virgin acrylic fiber. And then I've taken the salvage waste and stitched it in a kind of plaid construction.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So where does that leave us? Do I want to show some of the Boy Awards real quick?
Yeah, talk about some of the other things we've worked on in collaborations.
Yeah. So, I mean, about Milan, what that Greg was mentioning, that was really the first project in this past winter to have major changes, because if everyone remembers, Northern Italy was pretty hard hit before there was any kind of notion of COVID taking over the US. So so Milan Design Week was really up in the air, I don't know, in February. So anyway, it was hard to postpone that. It was devastating for a lot of people, but we look forward to next year and what might happen there. So in December, there was another opportunity to showcase. Oh, actually, no, sorry. In October 1st, there was an opportunity to showcase the salvage wall panels. And then also in December. So I'm just going to share some pictures of these events, these installations. One sec. My pictures. Uh-oh. Huh. Sorry. Nope. Oh my God. Look away while I'm doing this.
We'll just get to see through all
Here
of
we go. Here we go. Okay, everybody, can you see the Dutch Design Week picture?
Yes.
So, yes, this is Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven, of which Lee Edelcourt is always very involved. Lee Edelcourt, otherwise known as the founder of New York Textile Month, among many other things. Anyway, Sunbrella did a great presentation there and put my wall panels in combination with a French designer named Wendy Andrew, who did these incredible kind of composite constructions using pulverized fiber from Sunbrella mixed with concrete and metal. So it was a really amazing kind of pairing. So you can see the little presentation here. That was an exciting thing to be part of. Sorry, it's so blurry. And then we have the Boy Awards. Boy stands for Best of Year. It's an interior, oh no, this isn't, it was the Hall of Fame. It was 2 different events that were back to back.
Yep.
Interior Design magazine had the Hall of Fame and the Boy Awards. And so they create every year a beautiful set in the Javits Center or elsewhere, and have been working with Sow and McCown and Sunbrella as a big sponsor of the event. And so Sow and McCown came up with this incredible multifaceted installation idea using cones of yarn from Sunbrella and pieces of fabric and all these different things. So it's like this long passageway of kind of the factory, like elements from textile manufacturing. And so they brought me in to do these 2 walls that were kind of down the road in the process. And the walls were meant to be like a background for portraits for the Hall of Fame. So you can see the little models on the floor there, specifying which panels went where. We had to figure all of that out first. So it's a very interesting kind of configuration that is starting to have a distinct look after you've seen it again and again, you know, of these different patterns that are results of like strips of this salvage waste being lined up next to each other. And what I find really interesting, one of the things about this, this concept that I really love is that we don't really know what the fabric is that was woven, but we do know that it had a stripe sequence in it. But the design of these fabrics could be something pictorial. It's hard to really know. And that's intriguing to me, to just look at the salvage waste pieces and then think about, you know, what the original fabric might have been. This is Sherry Dongia, the person I was mentioning before, doing a little interview about things. And this is Calvin Sow, one of the architects of the space. And you can see in the distance all this fiber hanging down, which is part of their kind of invention of how to show the different steps of the manufacturing process. It was raw fiber, and then the cones, and then some of the this is like at the beginning of the event. This is somewhere you could see in the very far back the walls. This is getting closer into the big dining hall. It was crowded. I guess I just put this in to show a picture of people being close together.
The good old days.
Yeah, right. These are some nice people from Glen Raven, and then Rachel Doris in the middle, who you'll meet next week when I talk to her. There's fabulous Cindy Allen doing her live broadcast. And then you can see that they used the backdrop as this nice, you know, step and repeat type situation so that they could take portraits of everybody at the event. So it was a really special experience for me to be able to do that. Okay, stop screen share. Now we're back. We have about, how do I get back to that? Sorry. Yeah. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes to go. So, yeah.
And there are a couple questions. You want to do those now, or you take them later?
Let's do it now. Should we do Gina's first?
Yep, sure.
I'll read it out loud. I have a burning question. So many are not committed to the environment. What was the motivation, inspiration for going low waste / no waste?
I mean, I think the simple answer is just to the old, they used to call save the planet, but you know, it's about resources and how we're moving forward, and something as we're working on new products and moving into the future. One of my thoughts is the buzzword is cyclical economy. And, you know, how can we make products as we're designing those? How can we design them so we know that we can use them again, or get into, you know, into a stream where it gets used over and over again? So, you know, here we just have a couple levels, but, you know, as we keep moving, we want to enhance that. But, you know, I mentioned earlier that, you know, Glen Sunbrella has been working on sustainability and conservation of energy and lights, or the amount of electricity that we consume. There's a lot of different things, and you can find some of that on the website too. But, you know, there's been years and years of cutting back on the amount of energy we use down in the Anderson plant. And I forgot the wattage and all that, but there's a massive solar array that we put behind our manufacturing facility down there to offset the amount of energy that we're using. So it all goes back into the grid.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, as an artist who's always been interested in being economical and efficient, I think it's the family I grew up in. I learned as a kid to save things. My dad was a child of the Depression, and I mean, my parents were, and just kind of getting that. And actually, my grandmother was like one of the original recyclers. She used to garden and use newspaper as fertilizer. You know, so I grew up with people being really smart with environmental stuff around me, and just being, you know, mindful of waste. And I just had that kind of sensibility, like waste not, want not. And also, as I learned more and more about the textile industry and saw the tremendous amount of waste that can be produced from the industry, you know, all over the world, and also like overproduction and the whole thing with dyes and, you know, contamination of the environment, I just started to pay attention to a lot of it and think, like, what can I do to, you know, affect change or not contribute? I love the idea of using pre-existing materials rather than making new, but it's very tricky because the systems aren't necessarily set up to do that. It's like swimming upstream. I mean, things have changed a lot in the past decade, but you know, it tends to be more expensive, and it tends to be more work. And even just this project, which seems in theory so simple, like, yeah, let's just go get the barrels of salvage waste from the sides of the loom and collect them all and make them into stuff, right? Yeah, great idea, super simple. But then when you start getting into it, and like how you can't control what colors are coming off the loom, you can't intervene in like a busy production cycle of the factory and say, hey, can you get me all the salvage that's striped, please? You can't do that. So it becomes either someone's job to do that or your job. Like, I had to go to the factory myself and pick things out because it was too difficult to ask other people to do it, because they are very busy doing other things and they can't really go through the trash.
That's right. Yeah, and then she has a follow-up, it looks like, too.
Okay.
Ask about do our clients appreciate our stance or do folks head to you for that stance on the environment? And said that her grandfather said, waste not, want not. I think quite a few people do appreciate it. I think, maybe not enough people appreciate it, but like Liz was saying, it's more expensive, it's more time consuming. But as a community, design community, community of artists, I think we have to continue to push that stance. And as we're designing and thinking about, not just what we're designing right now, but what we're designing for that could be used in the future or used again or whatever that may be.
Yeah. Here's a question from Molly Brennan. Are the fur walls going to be available for sale? Yes, Molly, they already are. You can message me directly, liz@lizcollins.com, and I'll give you more information about that. As a product line from Sunbrella or the Salvage Combinations as a trim line, all will be revealed in the future. We've got things in the works, so just stay tuned. If you follow my Instagram, that's a really good place to keep tabs on what's happening with the availability of products related to the salvage waste. So that's at Lizzie Collins 7. I can put it in the chat. Greg, do you want to answer the next question?
Sure. So which one is it? Do you have a take back program? Yes.
Do I? You do.
Yeah, we do. Sunbrella from Stephanie. Yes, it's recycledmysunbrella.com, where you can go there and you can find out where the closest receiving center is. So again, it's recycledmysunbrella.com.
Oh, I should have put that in the chat. It's different with the Q&A. That's a different mechanism than the chat. I'm still getting used to it. Okay. Great. Francine says, I just want to thank you both for your work. Liz, can you share a few words on your creative process, as cheesy as that sounds? What moves you to create certain shapes, textures, etc.? Thank you. I mean, my creative process is really multifaceted and deeply ingrained in my being as kind of the first reflex of something to do every day. My imagination's very active, and it always has been. And I'm inspired by materials that are in front of my face. Like that's what happened with the salvage waste. And it actually happened when I was a grad student at RISD back in the late 90s. I was working at the Jacquard loom and I saw these barrels of waste, and I was like, look at this amazing material. I have to make something out of it. And I knit some sweaters and jackets and showed those in my fashion collection, which I used to have. So inspiration can come from anywhere, but it's often very materially based. And then I also have a big kind of drawing and painting practice that I've been doing for many years, and collage. So it's just about like manifesting kind of ideas and impulses through my hands. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we have some nice comments, but no other questions. Maybe I can ask you a question, Greg?
Shoot.
I have two questions. One, because we have such a textile focused audience, I am wondering if you'd be willing to talk a bit about your work with Sheila Hicks.
Oh, I mean, that's that's barely describable because, the type of force and person that she is. But, we've been friends for about 10 years and have done quite a few projects. So there's a piece hanging in the moment now that's in the permanent installation. And there's stuff at the Pompidou. I mean, she has things that I don't even know where they are. So, the collaboration with Sheila Hicks has been something that's been phenomenal, and it's hard to describe. You asked the question what it's like, and it's like, I think it's something that I'm going to have to like contemplate over the next 20 years to give somebody a good answer. Because the opportunity that I've been afforded and a lot of the team here has been afforded is going to visit her in her studio, or, you know, on a Tuesday night in Paris, you know, we're sitting at a little cafe with Sheila Hicks having dinner. It's been fun. She's a great person. She's so smart and so talented and has just had an amazing career that, again, I you know, have to pinch myself every time I finish a conversation with her. And I will have to say that you're going to see a lot of stuff from her in 2021.
From her with Sunbrella materials, maybe?
We'll have to see.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, tremendous respect for Sheila. She's an incredible artist, and I've been so inspired by her work over the years. And I just want to point out, like, things like the installation at the Venice Biennale with all the big pouches of fiber. That's Sunbrella fiber, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit. So and how places those up there, and just, I mean, that was just a grand display that I've never seen before, you know, in that type of situation. So it was breathtaking.
Yeah. Great. The other question I have is about, I mean, it's the question a lot of people are asking right now, or wanting to hear about. What's your take on where you are now? Like, where is your company now in terms of, like, I mean, I know it's too much to answer in a few minutes, but like the pandemic, and like every business has been impacted, and yours is so involved with global trade on a big scale. Like, could you say a few words about, like, the state of affairs, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think we know where we are yet. I mean, we know where we are today. You know, there's a lot of businesses that are hanging in there, but there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. There's a lot of industries that are shutting down, and areas that, you know, for restaurants and people working in restaurants, I mean, when are they going to, you know, in certain areas of the country, when are they going to be able to go back to work? There's a lot of areas that are, like in New York, you know, I think that most of the restaurants are open, but just with street seating. So it's hard to say. We're hanging in there right now. We're going to continue to push forward, continue to design and make product, and continue to find new partnerships. And what it looks like on the other side, nobody knows, you know, because, you know, you hear about .com businesses are going through the roof, and then brick and mortar are struggling. And, you know, when you get to 21, 22, does it level out, or does the .com take over? I think we just have to keep paying attention.
Yeah. I was thinking on my way to my studio this morning on my bike, like looking at all the outdoor dining, that like, is this kind of outdoor dining going to continue? And if so, when do the upgrades happen? Like, I went by a place that had, like, you know, a tarp over all the tables clipped down to like keep it together when the place isn't open. And so, like, oh, does that mean that Sunbrella fabrics are more in demand because of the outdoor life kind of increasing?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say go get your long underwear and thermal jackets right now, because we're probably going to run out, because people are still going to be eating outside in the winter.
Right. But maybe there will be like new kind of outdoor walls and things made with all of your great outdoor fabrics, right?
I mean, of course, we would love that. And, you know, like I was saying, there's certain industries that, you know, could be helpful, and some are going to hurt. But again, what it looks like on the other side, who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, we have just time for one more. And I see that there's something from Danny. that says, in our textiles class, we learned about Glen Raven and Sunbrella in a documentary about the textile industry in North Carolina. Great to see the textile industry thrive in the US. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't see any more questions. Greg, it's great to spend time with you. It's great to see your face. I'm
Yep.
used to seeing you here in New York every other week. This guy is a serious jet setter. He's on a plane all the time.
Yeah, and I haven't hardly left Burlington, North Carolina, where HQ is, since I think it was February 18th. So just been here. So spend time with family.
Yeah. Well, I can see behind you a little preview of something that's coming down the pike with you all and some other collaborators. So come October, end of October, we'll be seeing some more exciting things in the Liz Collins, Sunbrella, Lean Rosé, Pollock world collaboration.
I figured I'd throw a little teaser up there for next week.
Thanks. Leaking things out. Well, New York Textile Month audience, thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful to have your attention. Share this broadcast widely. It will be archived on the New York Textile Month website in the Textile TV area. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Liz. Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.